Nancy Pelosi is famous for being skeptical of impeachment hearings. The far left, those like AOC, and the opportunistic, those like Elizabeth Warren, has been pushing her on this very specific issue, and she has been reluctant to go that route. I, somebody who don't necessarily all that like Nancy Pelosi politically, agreed with her on this. I gave her credit for this. And I said that this particular area is fraught with difficulties by independents and right-wingers who are going to hate the fact that you're using this kind of extraordinary Hail Mary to try to get the president out as opposed to beating him electorally. Well, there's a little bit of data to back me up on that. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. And I want to go into a little bit of polling that has been released showing that I was more likely right than not in being skeptical of the direction of using impeachment as a way of getting Donald Trump out of office. I have made the argument on more than one occasion that Donald Trump should be beaten just on the basics. I don't think you need these extraordinary methods to beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump has gone after people's health care. Health care is the number one issue. Donald Trump has allowed Republicans to go after, well, he will allow them, let's say it that way, to go after their Social Security and Medicare. He tried to get rid of their health care in its entirety while telling people they were going to have big, beautiful health care. He gave this massive tax cut while saying he wasn't going to give people a tax cut or people like himself a tax cut. I mean, you can go down the list. The environmental policies were going to be atrocious. That was already known going in. But you don't use these extraordinary methods to beat Donald Trump. That's kind of my point. Nancy Pelosi made that point and was right about that. Well, she didn't make that point, but Nancy Pelosi has been really skeptical of this notion of impeachment and everything else. I'm going to go into the polling on this because the polling on this is interesting. The polling is done by Republicans. It's done by the Republican Committee. Now, they were polling various swing districts from East Coast and West Coast, California, Atlanta, let's say California, Georgia, and New Jersey. And what they found were that independents were massively against impeachment. Like when they talked to people who weren't these hardcore right-wingers, but independents, they were against it almost 2-1 and pretty much across the board. And these were in states, some of which were won by Clinton, some of which were won by Trump. Let's take a look at the stats itself. So in 21st District, California 39th District, California 45th, Georgia 6th, New Jersey 7th. Those are the ones that they went with. In each district, voters were asked, do you support or oppose impeaching Donald Trump? 57% oppose California, 57% oppose California, 59% oppose California, 60% oppose Georgia, 59% oppose New Jersey. Independent voters are against impeaching Trump at the same rate. In California 21st, independents oppose impeaching Trump by 23 points. 33 support, 56% oppose. And in New Jersey, 7th, they oppose impeaching Trump by 29 points. 28 to 27 to 57%. Meaning 28% support, 57% oppose. Subgroups of independents are also against impeaching Trump. 55% of the independent men in California and 53% of the independent women in Georgia oppose impeaching Trump. Impeachment is not popular in suburban battleground districts carried by both President Trump and Clinton. Trump carried Georgia by just 1%. Clinton carried New Jersey by 1%, California by 5%, and California by 6%. My point is this. I am magnificently against Donald Trump. Don't like him at all. By the same token, I will be completely against any level of impeachment. I strongly suspect I am not the only one. I suspect a lot of progressives will be against this notion of impeachment. I suspect a lot of people who are independents, as the poll shows, will be against this notion of impeachment. Especially for people, look, Donald Trump right now has the highest percentage points, meaning job performance rating. And the Democrats are talking about impeaching him. And the thing that they're talking about impeaching him on is at 1% of interest from the standpoint of the public. Meaning, if you ask Democrats, do you want to impeach Trump? The Democrats mainly may say yes. If you ask the rest of America that are not Democrats, by the way, Republicans and independents, they say, by majority, by overwhelming majority, no. Nancy Pelosi knows this. Nancy Pelosi has been in politics long enough to know that this type of Hail Mary will reverberate and could be negative for the party that is carrying out such extraordinary measures that are going to be seen for what they are, as overtly political. As overtly political. Do you support or oppose impeaching the President of the United States? A large part of that becomes, what are you impeaching him on? At this point, the public has been, indoctrinated with a certain degree of Trump and Russia stuff for the last 3 years. And still, when they ask that question, those people say, no. If you beat him, you beat him. But you beat him at the ballot box. You beat him electorally. You beat him in the same way he beat your candidate, electorally. This Hail Mary, this soft coup that they tried to do with Mueller and the Russiagate nonsense. What's the issue? For the last 3 years, we've talked about Trump and Russia, which at this point the public doesn't even care about. And that's been the mainstay of the argument that has been used by mainstay establishment Democrats. Sanders has been trying to talk about more. Elizabeth Warren, to her credit, has been trying to talk about more. But many of these guys are talking about Trump and Russia. The debates, fortunately, centered at the very least around policies. Many of these were Sanders policies. But when we're talking about establishment Democrats, they are still pushing this notion of impeachment. The point here is that the public is not on board for it. And across the United States, when you're especially looking at swing districts, which is what the Republicans were looking at here, because they're looking for ways to get these guys out of office. When you look at swing districts, they're not on board for it. Nancy Pelosi is not insane. She is a good political actor in a sense. And her thinking is, oh my God, this is going to reverberate. This is not going to be good for the party. I need to come up with any reason to not do this and allow my party to take themselves down this road. Shout out to Nancy Pelosi for having the good sense to not go along with just what the party wants on this case. So, I'll end this here. Garneau, the push for impeachment is a pointless waste of time and undemocratic. Yes. In fact, I'm even going to end it on that, because that's exactly what it is. It is a waste of time, and I'm going to add, infinitely undemocratic. And oftentimes when people are trying to explain to me why they're going to impeach him, they're usually bringing up stuff like, well, the Mueller investigation and the Russiagate stuff. And it's like, but there was no Russia-Trump collusion. I know, but he was obstructing justice. How? He was intruding upon issues that was going to eventually find that there was no collusion between the two. So he was obstructing justice for something that didn't exist? Yes, and we need to impeach him for that immediately. I'll leave it here. Thanks all. Bye-bye.